Today we're going to be continuing Traveling Worlds with Jin Morton's Strength. Last episode I was going to tell you what the Nirvana form even looked like, but my brother disturbed it. But right now, he's upstairs, so I can tell you. His Nirvana form is practically the same as his Buddha form, except his hair stays the same. Well, in terms of length. And his red and his red binding will just turn black. That's really the only difference. Anyways, to continue the story, a few days have passed. And by a few days, I mean 2 weeks. In these 2 weeks, everyone has been training. And Katsuo was thinking about going on another 2-month-long break. And after telling the crew this, they just accept it. It's like his 3rd time. And after just jumping away until he finds an island, he then says, well, he doesn't know what anime to think of when it hits him. He remembers the world where he got his Ryugen technique, and he just thinks Ryugen, which surprisingly works. A rift in space opens, which he goes through, and he is in a back alley. When he goes out of it, he sees 2 people, both with blue hair. One of them with white eyes, and the other with black ones. One of the people he killed in that dimension. He is surprised to see them again, especially because he was one of the people who almost escaped. So he thinks he's definitely going to become the strongest in the future, but he will let them grow. And after that, he jumps back into the alleyway and then jumps up into the air, spotting multiple people that were in the sacred dimension. With his eyesight being godly, he then activates Rule Taekwondo support type mastered flight, and suddenly he has the ability to fly. He would normally have this ability in Buddha Wukong or Nirvana, or really any strong form he has, but those take up way more energy than they're actually worth. Well, in his vision. So renewal taekwondo is practically the only thing he uses to fly. And like I said in the last episode or chapter, renewal taekwondo is based off of supernatural capabilities being made by God. After that, he flies back down and finds himself into a city, making sure that no one notices him, and goes into a crowd, making it seem like he was always there in the first place. After that, he wonders where he's going to live, since everywhere else it was practically just given to him. However, he thinks of something, moving at lightning speed, passing through everyone, and making it towards the nearest forest he could find, immediately kicking at one of the trees, cutting it in half. Now, normally any person would think, how is he gonna get a house out of this? However, he has elemental abilities, meaning the cut off part and the part that's just the tree trunk, he uses to make a house. And just for a little bit more necessities, he goes into his nirvana form, which he can now keep up for an hour. And he uses his ability of creation to make sure that a pathway of the internet, even without poles, comes through here, meaning he can use it. And creates a phone, despite not even knowing how it works. After that, he transforms back into his normal form, being pretty tired. Even though he only did 2 things in his nirvana form, and the fact that it can last an hour, even all the way up to 3 things, would cause him to lose a lot of energy if he then transformed it back. However, other than energy loss, it doesn't really have any backlashes. After that, he goes inside and tries to sense Ryugen. And he does, but in a different version. Before, Ryugen was just white cubes with a white aura. But now, they're blue cubes with a green aura. He thinks that it might be because of the environment that he is, but he then thinks it doesn't make sense because they never changed, no matter where he went. So he thinks that this might be this world's Ryugen. And being the home of it, it obviously most likely has a different version. After that, he activates his sacred, bringing out the sword. However, it doesn't work. His Ryugen has either been nullified by the opposing Ryugen, or it's been nullified. Or maybe he just can't use the Ryugen that's in the air. So he tries to use any Ryugen-related skills that he knew, but none of them work. Probably because the Ryugen he was used to doesn't exist here. So after that, he seeks to find info. However, after making the house, he still has to sleep. And after he does, exactly 10 hours later, when it's nighttime, he then hears people talking quite near the house, saying, "This should be a perfect place to cultivate, right?" And another person's voice said, "Yeah, it should be. No one's here." And suddenly he felt a great amount of Ryugen coming out from the outside area. Using his invisibility ability and the ability to face through walls, he quickly gets outside and sees 2 people cultivating. They probably didn't see the houses, or maybe they just thought it was abandoned. It isn't perfect after all. After that, he tries to copy what they're doing, and it does work, finding himself in a void. After that, he sees a black gate with multiple strange symbols, and suddenly a strange dragon with a mark that shows a moon on its head came out. It was also a Chinese dragon, which was black in color, but has some ancient marks on it that were purple in color. However, right after looking at the dragon, he was immediately teleported out of the place, wondering if he still had his ability on. Thankfully it was, and the 2 other people were still cultivating, so he decides to do it inside his house. And this time, he manages to last for 1 minute until the dragon comes out. He then wonders if he can use any of his abilities in here, and tries his renewal taekwondo, mastered anti-dimensional cutter, a reformed version of recoilless kick. which practically just gives him the ability to kick through space and time. Cutting a rift in space, proving that they're probably in space-time or a dimensional area. Still trying to be in the dimension, with his body trying to glitch out. He tries to talk to the dragon, but he can't speak. However, the dragon can, saying, "You dare link up with my Ryugen? Pathetic fool." After that, it summons a dark beam of energy in its mouth. However, Katsuo uses his new Taekwondo mastered anti-dimensional cutter, splitting the attack in half. The dragon, being surprised, does notice that Katsuo has a lot of power, and by lot, he means a lot. And notices that Katsuo probably didn't even want to end up here in the first place, so it was probably just an accident. And after seeing that it was an accident, and that he didn't even mean to come here, he just lets him stay, stopping the teleportation. It says, "Because you've linked with my Ryugen, you still have a